What is up? You're listening to the Metal Mixtape here on KSKQ, Ashland, Oregon, Medford, Oregon, and around the world. We are talking to SILENOZ from DIMMU BORGIR. I'm super excited, man. So you're having a good night right now?
Yeah, pretty well. You know, just tucking my kid in and yeah.
No, that's great, dude.
Taking easy.
So, so I've been listening to you for a while, dude. I've been watching all your videos and everything, and I was doing some history on DIMMU BORGIR, and it said I was looking up you guys. So you guys started off in 1993, and it said that so you were actually the lead singer for 4 years when the band first started.
Yeah, I did guitar and vocals on the two first albums, yeah. And then we kind of, on the second album, we switched places around.
So
our other guitar player at the time, he switched to drums, and Shagrot switched from drums to guitar because, yeah, we figured that worked out better.
So it was just like a change. You just because I know it said that he was playing drums while you were playing guitar. Was it just one day in the studio you guys just decided to switch and it just worked out?
No, I think it was just a natural thing when Shudal started playing drums better and better. It just made more sense, and Shagrot wasn't better a guitar player than he was a drummer, so it wasn't more dramatic than that, really.
Oh, that's awesome, man. So, since then, man, you guys have been around for 27 years. You guys have had 10 releases. Did you ever think that
10 album releases?
Yeah. So, did you ever think that DIMMU BORGIR was going to be around this long when you first started the band?
I don't think any band think like that when they start out. At least we didn't, because we were pretty young, like 16, 17 years old, and what you want to do at that time is just to basically have fun, and play and try and get some shows done and hopefully get an album done, or before that, hopefully get a demo done. So that's I don't think we had any ambitions before, like maybe after the second album or something like that. So that's when we started to think that, okay, we might have something here,
Yeah, no, I think it's pretty crazy, man. Being in a band myself, I know it's hard enough trying to keep, it's like a big relationship with everybody, and it's hard enough to keep everybody together. And did you ever feel discouraged, like going through so many lineup changes throughout the years, or what was like one thing that really kept you going?
I think you come to a conclusion every time that somebody has to pull through, and somebody always are the driving force. I always come back to Kiss. Like would Kiss be Kiss today with just Peter and Ace?
Yeah.
Not to take anything away from them, of course, but it's Gene and Paul that runs the show, and that you gotta have people like that in the band, because a band is a democracy up to a certain point, and after that there's people that needs to take decisions, and the same people who takes the easy decisions are taking the difficult decisions too, and that's that's when you kind of like come to a dividing point. So some people are not in that capacity to take the bad decisions or the difficult decisions, and so yeah, that's my view on it, really. And of course it's extremely frustrating to change personnel, because it's something you don't expect to happen or you want to happen, but at a certain point it's either you do that to have the band survive, or you put the band to rest, and to put the band to rest has never been an option for the rest of us. So that's how I see it. Yeah.
No, hey, that's great, man. So, with having so many releases, what's your motivation when you go into the studio and create a new album? Is there like a theme you guys go by? Is it a bunch of song ideas that you already have pre-written that you're just trying to release on the next record?
Well, it's we usually don't have a specific theme, apart from sometimes we've had like a red thread that we worked out lyrics from, like in Sorte Diaboli, which was more of a concept-based album. But apart from that, we try and get some cool musical themes put together first, and then work it out from there. You know, there's never been a shortage of material, because there's like 3-4 of us who are constantly writing ideas on our own, and then we put it together in the DIMMU pot when we meet up and see what comes out of it. So yeah, we always have a lot of material. It's the challenging bit for us is to shave off what we think doesn't fit there and then. But that doesn't mean that a piece from 2008 cannot be used today. You know, it's a matter of finding the right timing for it, I guess.
Okay, so you would say like music that you written a long time ago would still have like the same aggression if you wrote like the same aggressive nature if you wrote it today? Like it'd be similar?
Well, it could be similar, but you know, it's like, let's say if I go through my my old recordings of ideas that hasn't been used, there could be a riff or a theme that are like, that's a cool melody, but what if I change it around to this, or make it shorter or longer or quicker or slower, you know? And then it's like, that fits to the new piece we're working on, you know, or at least let's try it out and see what happens. And sometimes it's like, you don't really know until you try it out. So that's the only formula or method of songwriting we really have. You know, whatever we think sounds cool, that's what we keep at that time, and then we move on to the next one.
Dude, no, I think that's freaking awesome. So do you just write the guitar parts, or do you ever like write lyrics out, or does everybody have like specific positions in the band?
Well, for the last decade at least, I've been taking care of the lyrical part completely. Obviously, I'm open for any lyrical input from the other guys, but they pretty much trust me with that at this point. And then we all make music, you know. It's like all of us play guitar. Shagra plays also keyboards, you know, and Galder also play keyboards. So it's never a problem coming up with material, you know. It's and that's probably like a luxury problem, as we say here, but you know, it's always been like this. So and it works really well, you know, at least for us.
Where do you pull influences when you write like your lyrics? Is there like is it a certain emotion that you're feeling that day, or do you take stories like before you go and start writing lyrics, like what's the inspiration behind it?
It could be just a word that triggers a whole set of lyrics, you know, and sometimes I could wake up in the middle of the night and I was like, I have a sentence, I have to write it down, otherwise I forget it, you know, stuff like that. So, and then I just try and form out emotions based on the initial sentence or word or feeling that I had when I wrote it down the first time around. So it's a really, really lengthy process. And I personally feel that writing lyrics is a process that will never end, you know, because there is no such thing as an absolute in that department, from my perspective at least. So, but it's of course, after so many albums and years of writing lyrics, you tend to be very critical to what you do, and you try not to repeat what you have done in the past. And you know, but obviously when I write, I have it in the back of my head that I want the listener, him and herself, to understand, or trying to come up with whatever it means to them, not necessarily what it means to me.
No, I completely agree, man. No, I think that's awesome, dude, how in depth you guys go with your songwriting and all that. So, when I first got into you guys, I never saw like the big videos with like the orchestras and the symphonies. What came up? How'd you guys come up with that idea? Because I remember I watch your shows online. You guys are playing with like 60 other people on stage. Did you guys just decide one day you just wanted to play with a big orchestra to blow up the sound a little more, or how did that come to be?
Well, I guess it's always been like a dream for us in the back of our heads, you know, to maybe one day play with an orchestra full and a choir. And but we haven't really approached the idea seriously, because we know that it takes so much financial support to even get it off the ground. So, but what happened before the previous album, Abradabra, it was actually Cork, the Norwegian Broadcast Orchestra, that contacted us.
Wow.
To ask for a collaboration, and that speaks pretty big volumes, right? Because usually you would think the band approaches an orchestra and a choir, but this time it was the other way around. So we were like, wow, that's extremely flattering and very inspiring, you know, because they were looked upon as one of the really good main orchestras in Europe, for that matter. So we were like had a meeting with them, and they wanted to do a put on the show, you know. But since we were writing for the Abra album at the time, we were like, but we were working on the new album. What about if you guys also maybe play on the album with us? And they were like, wow, yeah, let's do that, you know. So that's how that came to fruition. And then, of course, months of planning, not only for them to be ready for the album recordings, which they did in a matter of a few days, you know, and that was one thing. But the planning for the show in 2011 was already under planning. So, wow. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff that needs to be prepared, you know, and it's not done in a day. But when you work with professionals, I mean, we thought, when we started the first rehearsals with the orchestra for the actual concert, we thought that, oh, you know, we've always been professional all these years, but once we started playing with them, we knew that, well, we're not professional at all. These guys are the professionals, you know. So yeah.
No, I think that's pretty insane, man. So when they come in and do the music with you, do you have to like compose the music in a different way for them to like write it and rehearse it, or how does that go?
We write at least on the previous albums, we have written the orchestral parts not specifically with orchestra in mind, but in an orchestral way, with an orchestral approach. Both how we work out the choir parts and the keyboard parts, and then we have a guy outside the band who transcribes these parts down with notes for whatever big orchestra it is, if it's a 30-piece orchestra, 60-piece or 90-piece or whatever. So he works out all those lines for sections. A lot of work, obviously. So but then the going from our orchestral parts on the demo stage to actually recording it with the orchestra live in the studio, it's not that big of a gap, actually. It's just a matter of trying to get it all transcribed properly, you know. And for that, you need someone that has knowledge about how we work as a band and how we write the songs. So, and not to mention any names, because I don't want to talk negative about anything, but certain bands in the past have tried this, and it hasn't really worked out that well, at least not from my perspective, because their music has not been orchestral from the get-go. So you have two worlds that kind of clash, you know. But for us, the going on with a real orchestra, it's not that the difference is not that big. It's just that it sounds more real and more authentic. But now, working with the new songs for the next album, it's like the sound libraries that you can get these days, they sound so authentic that if you know how to really program orchestral parts, like the main movie composers and stuff, you wouldn't hear the difference, really. So we'll see if we'll utilize orchestra or a real orchestra on the next album. But the way it is right now, I think we're just gonna go with what we have and see how where it takes us.
I completely agree, man. It's funny, before we were doing the interview, I was showing my mom Gateways and all that, like the orchestra version and then like video version, and it was just it almost synced so perfectly where I could see how like it was easy just to like put into a big orchestra.
Yeah, I mean it's always always a huge challenge to do it. One thing is to do it in the studio, but if you do it live, like the Oslo show was prepped for days. You know, we had a main rehearsal before the doors opened that night, but the Wacken part, which is with the Czech orchestra, that's a festival, and on the festival you don't have a sound check, you have a line check that lasts for I think it lasted for like half an hour, 45 minutes, and then you have 45 minutes to get 100 people ready on the festival stage in front of 90,000 people. So you know, you gotta try and keep your head cool, because what can go wrong will go wrong. You know, and you know, luckily it didn't. But you know, it's one of those things that you have one chance to make it right, and that's when you really think back, like, oh, I wish sometimes that we were just a punk band. You know, go on stage and plug in the guitar and didn't play. You know.
Oh yeah, no, it's a big art and masterpiece, man. Just watching that, like, I'm just like, you know, I'm like in a 4-piece band, and it's hard enough to get a song correctly, and I see like 100 people up there, and I'm just like, man, like, I wonder like what's going through your guys' head right now, going through every transition, hearing all these like big sounds and big noises. Like, it's just like absolutely incredible, man.
Yeah. No, it was really like out of this world type of feeling, you know, and it's like I still have to kind of pinch myself to this day that, oh shit, we actually did that, you know.
No, dude, I think that's absolutely incredible, dude. So you know how like the coronavirus has been around and everybody's been in quarantine. Are you guys still writing while you guys are in quarantine, or what have you been up to on your downtime?
Well, I think we've all been writing separately on our own, you know. And now here in Norway, things are pretty much opening back up. So we have had a few sessions together, you know, and just to see where we're going with the new material. And it's always like, you know, in the beginning when you're starting writing for a new album, it's about just meeting up, you know, have a good time, feeling it out, and just see where everybody's heads are at, you know. So that's where we're at the moment.
No, dude, that's absolutely great, dude, and I know I can't wait to keep hearing. And man, dude, it's been so awesome to talk to you. But like asking like random questions sometimes.
Sure.
You know, like some interviews are so straightforward, like just the basic, like where'd you start and all that. Tell me 3 hobbies that besides music that people wouldn't expect that you do, or 3 things that you like doing.
Well, I'm a biker. What else do I do? Well, I like the nature, so you know, I spend some time in the nature when I can. I have my family. I have a couple of cabins in the woods. You know, it's peace and tranquil, and there's no cellular reception there. So
Okay.
that's really good for inspiration as well. What else? I'm a big fan of ski jumping.
Oh wow!
I used to do that when I was younger, before the heavy metal took me away from it. So yeah, I guess those 3 things are not so commonly known.
Okay. How about this? If you were on a deserted island and you only could have one food, what would that one food be?
Water.
Water. Yeah, I know. I guess that makes sense. Well, hey, SILENOZ, thank you so much, man. You made one of my dreams come true. Like I said, I've been listening to you guys since I was 16. No, since I was 14, and now I'm 31.
Cool.
So
man.
it's been
awesome.
great. Thank you for making time. I know going through this whole process, again, the interview, it made my dream come true, man. And you know, I'm from a radio station in like Southern Oregon. This made a huge dream for me, man.
All right. Well, I really appreciate the interview, and appreciate the support. And yeah, check us out next time we're over.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, you want to do me one last favor before I let you go?
Yeah, sure.
Would you say this is SILENOZ from DIMMU BORGIR, and you're listening to the Metal Mixtape?
Yeah, sure. Hey, what's up? This is SILENOZ from DIMMU BORGIR, and you're listening to the Metal Mixtape.
Thank you so much, brother. You have an awesome day, and thanks again.
Thank you, man. Have a good one.